And it looks like we are going here. We are recording on StreamYard. Hello, this is Ralph. Kind of a husky voice this morning. My vocal cords are not quite working too well, but we're going to persevere anyway. But the topic for today, talking about what change would you like to see in your world? And when it comes to capitalism, entrepreneurism, a lot of people tend to think, it's all about me. It's all about the entrepreneur or the capitalist trying to make money for themselves, and that is it. But actually, there's a lot more that can play into the mindset of any good capitalist and any good entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, for us entrepreneurs, we really must think outside of our own little ego box. We have to be thinking about uh, other people because a big part of entrepreneurship, as I understand it, is looking at problems in the world and finding solutions for those problems. Where most people will just look at the problems in the world and complain and moan and groan about how unfair everything is, an entrepreneur will look at those same problems and think, okay, how can we solve this problem? How can we fix things? How can we take the world as it is and make it a better place to live in? And then they go one step further. They find their solution and then they figure out a way that we can ethically monetize that solution because that's the basic law of compensation. You give something of value to the world and you expect to receive something of value back, a very basic law of compensation. But it all starts with trying to find a problem that is solvable as something that most people would just spend most of their time complaining and moaning about, and finding a way that we can fix that problem. And in that way, we can both enrich ourselves and enrich the world around us. Make a living by making the world a better place to live in for everybody. So I think that's a noble goal. That is a noble calling, the calling of being an entrepreneur. It's not just about being a money grubbing person. It's about uh, creating changes in the world that benefit a lot of other people besides the entrepreneur. A good entrepreneur will find a way to make a better life for themselves, plus their family, plus their community, plus the world at large, if you think big enough. And so that's what I want to talk about here is what change would you like to see in the world? And then how can you go one step further and actually start implementing that change? Do you have a plan where you can maybe find a problem in the world and then solve that problem, at least on a small scale? Now, for us, one problem that I see in the world that I would like to fix, not globally, but in my own backyard, so to speak, is the problem of the encroachment of the city into the country. We see this. I've seen this in my life in, oh my God, it's just been incredible. Growing up back in the 70s, I used to live in this one area in Kansas. It was farmland for as far as the eye could see. And it was we lived in a little area. It was still a small town at that time, but the mayor of that small town wanted this town to grow. He wanted it to become the rising star of Kansas. And I mean, he was cutting deals with industries to bring, industrial parks into the area, bring factories into the area. And when I was living there back in the 70s and the 80s and even up into the 90s, we saw some small growth, but nothing really troubling, I guess is one way to put it. You could still go through there. You could still see farmland for as far as the eye could see, but you could still kind of sense that it was growing, that that farmland was disappearing. And it really hit home to me about 3, 4, how long was it? I guess about 10 years ago now. My, how time flies. But my wife and I took a trip to my old place, my old hometown where I grew up. And I was expecting to see a lot of farmland left. And I was shocked because all the farmland was gone. It was now wall to wall city. And it was like the town that I grew up in had grown tremendously. And the town next door to it, where we used to have a little buffer of farmland, that was, it just sprawling out. And the farmland was gone. It was just wall to wall city. And I was shocked. I could drive from my hometown to the town, uh, kind of a few miles away, where we used to see like acres of land where farmers were raising cows, growing corn, growing winter wheat, and all that stuff was gone. It was just shopping malls, and it was all that fertile farmland was hidden under blacktop. And a lot of the wildlife that we used to have in that area, deer and foxes and other species of wildlife, rabbits. I mean, their habitat was destroyed. It was gone. It was paved over, actually. And I had a cousin once that visited us from Canada, who looked at what we were doing in that area, and he just shook his head and he said, you've got all this fertile farmland that could be used for raising crops and producing milk, dairy, corn, wheat, all that stuff that we used to produce big time back in the 60s and the 70s. And when he was visiting, he was saying, you're just taking all this fertile soil and you're burying it under blacktop. And he was saying, what's going to happen in another generation or two when population increases and we need the food, and all this farmland is gone, just buried under blacktop? What is the world going to do then? And I mean, it's still, I see this problem in, big time still, because the area that I'm living in now, when we first moved down here about 30 years ago, it was all pretty much rural. I mean, just farmland and a forested area, a lot of forest. Matter of fact, we called it the Enchanted Forest when we first moved down, and it's still called the Enchanted Forest. But there's not much of the forest left. It's like, man, we refuse to cut down trees unless we absolutely have to. But I mean, we've had people coming in from the city that have just been devastating the forest like a herd of locusts, and just cutting down trees and destroying historical property. And I mean, we have stuff in this area. We used to have stuff that dated back to the 1800s, a one-room schoolhouse that was destroyed by somebody that bought it, destroyed the one-room schoolhouse because, he wanted to put in a double wide trailer. And I mean, this kind of destruction, this insane, to me, it's insane destruction of our local habitat and our local history. I mean, you got to find a way to really try to prevent much more destruction. And so, what my wife and I want to do in southern Missouri is to buy up, farmland, and create our own nature reserve. And we're doing that already on a small scale. We've bought our own property that we live on. And I mean, it's neat because it's not much to look at, okay, if you came to visit, but it's a two-bedroom shack, essentially, a two-bedroom cabin, but it's built on top of a ceremonial Indian mound that probably dates back at least 300 years. And I didn't really know what it was, but the guy that built the house that we live in now, he intentionally built the house around that ceremonial mound with the intention of preserving it. And back about 20 years ago, when we had to redo the water, we needed to run a new water line under the house. I had to dig through a little bit of that ceremonial mound, and I found some artifacts which made me realize, okay, this is holy ground. This is not something that should be lightly disturbed. And yeah, we had some, I don't like to get into that in these streams, but we did have some paranormal activity in the home that we had to deal with because of the disruption of that ceremonial mound. And so this is something that we've learned to take very seriously, is that the land has a history, the land has a spirit, and we have dealt with some of these local spirits, and we've been able to work with them uh, in a positive manner. So at first it was kind of a negative thing when we had the paranormal activity. We had, stuff disappearing, loud noises, scary stuff happening. And then I realized, okay, what it was, what it stemmed to, and I just burned some incense by that ceremonial mound. There's a crawl space under the house. Opened up that crawl space. We lit a candle. We burned some sage incense, and made our apologies. And just told the spirits, okay, from now on, we are going to try to maintain this property without causing any further disruption to the history of this land. And we've been living in peace with these these spiritual entities, let's just say, since then. And it's we've had a good relationship with them over the last 2 decades. But we got off to a very rough and rocky start because of digging into that sacred space and disturbing it. But yeah, these ceremonial mounds, burial places, they are to be respected. And it's sad to see, people from the city coming in with their bulldozers and bulldozing the heck out of everything, destroying everything, thinking that there will be no negative karma, no negative consequence to pay. And man, it's just as a result of seeing all this and experiencing a lot of this, what my wife and I have decided as one of our main goals is to expand on our little nature reserve. Right now, our nature reserve is about a quarter acre down by the river. And yeah, we have a lot of wildlife, a lot of natural, flora and fauna that we maintain, and we try to maintain it in as natural a state as possible. And it's really kind of actually kind of humorous in a way, because our neighbors that moved down to the city, moved down from the city, they see this natural unspoiled habitat, and they've been working hard over the last few years to turn it into freaking suburbia. And we don't go along with that. And so it's really, we're kind of like the one piece of property that sticks out like a sore thumb right now, because yeah, we got well manicured lawns on one side, on the other side, and on a third side, and then we're stuck in the middle of all that with just natural forest. And we don't do much to the property. We just maintain it to, prevent any erosion. We have our garden. We have our flowers and whatnot. But for the most part, I mean, it looks like a cabin in the woods, what's left of the woods. And yeah, we're on either side, we're flanked by suburbia. But what we want to do as our income increases is that we want to extend this nature preserve. And what I would like to do is to buy multiple acres in southern Missouri in a rural area, and just preserve it, as in its natural state. And one other thing that I have kind of thought, kind of maybe half as a joke, but half serious too, is that I joked about a month ago talking about my desire to be a conservationist and to live in harmony with nature. I did joke online that, there are some people that want to tear down a forest to build a city. I'm of the opposite perspective. I want to tear down a city and rebuild a forest. And that made me think, is there a way that I can actually do that, ethically and, morally and all that? And I began to think, in our area, all across the United States, as a matter of fact, all around the world, even in highly populated countries, you have ghost towns. And these are towns that used to be boom towns back in the day, back when they were mining coal or gold or silver, or back when the railroad ran a certain way and the highway ran a certain way. And then suddenly, when the mines closed, or when the highway changed, when that town got bypassed, or when the railroad no longer came through, those boom towns became ghost towns. And we have them. I've traveled through them in southern Missouri. And it kind of makes me think, thinking about that desire to tear down a city and rebuild a forest. What would it cost for us to buy up several acres of ghost town and just redo it? Tear up the blacktop, replant a forest, find some of the more historical buildings like stone schoolhouses or stone churches and maintain those, keep those, but maintain them more as like meditation centers, practice centers, and just places where we can teach people how to live more harmoniously with nature. And then all the rest just kind of, tear it down and rebuild a forest. So that's one thing that we're kind of considering too for future, part of our future goals is to, yes, get like multiple acres of land, either rural, well, obviously rural, but maybe unspoiled land and maybe a little bit of ghost town too, kind of go shopping and see what kind of land we can acquire, and then preserve it in its natural state or restore it to its natural state. And that's what we're all about. We're not into Lamborghinis. There are entrepreneurs that are, like to have garages full of Lamborghinis, not into Rolex watches. Actually, I wouldn't even know what a Rolex watch was if I was looking straight at it. You'd have to tell me. I'm not into fancy cars, but we are into nature. We are into wildlife. And that's where our passion lies. And so, yeah, if we can do a little bit more to help to prevent the encroachment of the city into our wild areas, and maybe even restore some wild areas that were once encroached upon by the city. You know, to me, that would be a neat legacy to leave behind. And that's why I love doing what I do for a living, is because I work with a company that thinks in, shall we say, somewhat of a similar way. They don't look at the world and complain about the world as it is. They look at the world and then they ask themselves, what can we do, both individually and as a company, to make the world a better place, to make positive change in the world? And what they do, their thing isn't the conservation of nature like it is with us, but it's I would say even a more noble goal. Their thing is trying to provide meals for hungry children across the world. And this business academy that I'm a part of, what they do is it's an educational program, teaches people how to do affiliate marketing better, how to do network marketing better. And it's also an affiliate marketing opportunity where, when you become a member and you join at the levels, then there's really only two levels to join at for the affiliate marketing plan, and you can make money at both levels. But every time that you join at a certain level and you make a sale, a portion of those sales will go to help feed hungry children around the world. And I was looking back at our stats before I jumped on this stream, and I found that so far to date, the company has provided over 250,000 days of meals for hungry children around the world. And that's their thing. That's their way of giving back and helping to make the world a better place. They pay 80% commission on each qualified sale that you make, and a portion of all sales go to help feed hungry children. And I mean, it's neat to be a part of that, because with our goal, obviously it depends on raising a lot more money than what we currently have. So it is a future goal, maybe 2, 3 years into the future. But while I'm working to realize that goal, I can also be participating in helping to achieve an equally worthwhile goal, maybe even more worthwhile, the goal of helping to eliminate world hunger. And it's not something that we have to focus on far into the future. It's something that we can do every day, every time you make a sale. Because yeah, every time somebody makes a sale in this company, portion of those profits go to help feed hungry kids around the world. So yeah, it's a great way to help make a change, not just in the distant future or the not so distant future, but right now, right today, doing something simple by just joining, becoming a member, selling, learning how to sell better, making sales, feeding hungry kids, also making a difference in your own life and helping to build a more stable future for yourself and finding your own economic freedom, a heck of a lot faster than with a lot of other programs. Because man, as an affiliate marketing program, they put a lot of power under your control. I mean, you can learn how to make sales, and then once you make sales, earn 80% commissions. Man, make 2 sales, you're already in profit. That's a pretty darn good deal. And they've been keeping it this way for a number of years. I think the program is like 7 years old right now. And that's another reason why they came into existence, is that they looked at a lot of the other affiliate marketing plans and opportunities and network marketing opportunities that are out there. And a lot of them would be going great for like 2, 3 years. And then suddenly it would change. The compensation plan would change, and the affiliates that were doing well would suddenly just, get the axe. Well, not maybe not get the axe, not literally, but I mean, their earnings would be cut. And sometimes these affiliate marketing and network marketing plans, after going seemingly well for 2, 3 years, they'd suddenly just disappear. And I've seen companies like that. I've been involved in some companies that went through radical change where they just had to redo the comp plan because, they just didn't maintain the program in a healthy state. And so in order to keep it alive, to keep it viable, yeah, they had to redo everything, rejuggle commissions, the whole ball of wax. And man, if they'd only maintained the company in good health over the last 5, 6 years or so, they still could have had a healthy company. Well, the company that I'm with now, I mean, they've done their homework. They keep things up to date. They work with people. They help people to become better marketers, and they just offer so much value that it's really insane. It's really something else. So if you want to check out what I do, find a way that you can build your own business from home, and also, as a side note, help to feed hungry children around the world. Check out my link that's floating around down below, ralphshomebiz.com. It'll hook you up with this academy. And I mean, the quality in this program is just next level. It is something else. And man, I'm wishing that I'd found this company a long time ago, because yeah, as far as affiliate marketing offers go, a lot of offers say we can change your life. Well, this strives to do that. And I'm noticing we're having some hiccups with the live stream, so I'm just going to end it right there. But as we close, like to ask the question, okay, if you're an entrepreneur, or even if you're not an entrepreneur, what change would you like to see in your world? What things would you like to accomplish before you kick the bucket, more or less? And, don't just think in terms of, my God, I wish somebody would take care of this problem. Think in terms of, what can I do to take care of this problem? And on that note, I will quit. So thank you all for dropping by. I'm going to give my throat a little break here, and we'll catch you in future updates. So have a great day, and thank you for persevering with sore throat guy right now. Bye bye.